for, you know, since he was an LCK commentator. It's been absolutely forever, and he got very, very upset. And we've obviously got Daniel Ox Harrison here as well, knowing all of the Ziggs matchups very, very well himself, and so hoping that we don't have an opt-in to the Ziggs Azir matchup once again. But let's see what does happen, as two trees just going to be taken off the Rift. T1 not wanting to deal with those, and they're going to move to the blue side. So a little bit of a difference when it comes to what this draft is going to look like. And from now, kind of looks like the Tristana Corki might be back on the menu.
I think so, and I think that Faker will opt into whichever APA doesn't pick, because I think they're fishing for a Sejuani pick. Now, TL reading this pretty well. The Ashe is banned away. It's one that has been so oppressive. Didn't see play in the last game because the Ziggs and the Zeri Ezreal trade bottom side was really more what the game was about. See what this final ban is going to be here for T1, taking away the Ivern, you know, saying it's definitely going to be double 80 carry we see this time around. Jax also removed, was a big problem for them in the previous game, but this means Ziggs is up and available for TL.
Rumble is also up, and I think that that is probably the thing that TL understands needs to be banned. Unless they have some crazy strategy against it, I think it's Sejuani Rumble that they're really struggling with. So maybe you ban something else, or you just get rid of that fiery guy on the top side, because the Fire Yordle is a crazy one. So T1 will get exactly what they want.
Now, as I expected, the Sejuani pick is going to come through here first for T1. Umpty had a fantastic game on it in our previous set, but this does leave open a lot of options here for Team Liquid. Rather than just opting into the Ziggs versus potentially the Tristana, they are going to go for the Corki pick, a little bit more standard here. This will mean that Faker will be able to respond with his own Tristana. And, you know, most of the time, I think a majority of us are leaning towards the Tristana being the stronger pick in this matchup. What jungle will be the answer is the question. They could pick up an AP jungler like the Zyra. That's still available here for Umpty. He loves the Lilia. Don't know if it really makes sense in this draft. Let's see what he's got in mind.
Yeah, quite a few things left up on the table. They could also pick Tristana and Corki.
Probably not, though.
Yeah, that'd be a crazy one.
They do play that Corki in the
cool
bot lane.
Strats, exactly.
And I don't usually feel good about it.
Yeah, that's the Ezreal double Trinity Force. So this is like Power Spike City. I love it. Tristana obviously going to be locked away here by T1, but what else are they going to augment their composition with, Wolf? That's my question.
That's a real good question. Might just be the Zeri to come through here for Guma when we play that game again. Could also take the Leona away, but I think the Zeri is just too strong here, and that is what they're going to grab. See if the Leona comes through, or is it just going to be a Ziggs hover?
Yeah, Ziggs hover.
I think the Leona is the best option here. It's kind of a no-brainer with how strong this duo is. We saw T1 play it previously. Obviously was circumvented by the lane swap last time around. And here's where things get a little bit more interesting, because the focus is now going towards a little bit more the top side of things for T1. See what the bans are going to be. Banning away the Gnar could indicate that we're going to trade for a Cassante ban again. We could see the Twisted Fate taken away. The Jax is already banned, however. Yeah. So what the look is going to be here for TL. What their read is Gnar. Okay, probably that Cassante trade once more.
One of those options, certainly a bunch of things that you can take away, and Zeus is just really good at Gnar, so you can just get rid of that. Mordekaiser to be removed. So maybe T1 with a little bit of another idea. Wanting to limit the amount of AP options as well is a decent idea, but I don't necessarily think that Mordekaiser is going to be the biggest thing that TL are looking for. See what this final ban is going to be, though, because I think you can pay a little bit of mind towards the bottom side of the map as well. With the Leona locked in, you're not worried about a Nautilus for this Zeri composition. But Twisted Fate going to be taken off the board. So real targeting towards Zeus here.
Renekton gone again. So all of these things are kind of what we expected. We saw the Renekton last time. The Mordekaiser is the one kind of pick that stands out. Doesn't feel as strong of a ban, but Twisted Fate, good ban against Zeus. You have the Gnar gone. Cassante being up, though, because they banned the Mordekaiser instead, feels like a pretty easy lock-in here if they want to hide Umpty's pick, but he could just lock that in now and save counter pick for whatever Zeus does, in fact, lock in. Probably the safer bet here. Zyra, I feel really strong in this draft here for TL, but they're not going to lock it in just yet. Going to swap over to the Cassante here. This one felt pretty obvious to me. We've seen Zeus play a lot of other ranged tops, like the Vayne, the Zeri into this pick.
There's a bunch of options that you can play alongside a Sejuani really comfortably as well, like a Camille we've seen rip into a Cassante relatively effectively.
They're going to do it.
As, yeah, the Zeri top lane is just happening once again. So there is the Braum Caitlyn to come out from T1. We've already seen this from G2. Ansama looked decent on it, even though they lost that game number 1. It is an oppressive lane. And Caitlyn, if you look up the stats for Gumayusi, they are pretty absurdly good.
Yes.
Keria's Braum is something that we've been up and down upon, but we know that he can pilot this champion very, very well. And so now, face up is the T1 draft. I think triple AD carry once again.
Brand, fantastic here. I don't really like the Lilia in this draft. I always think about Lilia when I think about an AP jungler R5 for Umpty, but it is going to be the Brand they lock in. Karthus, I think, is a little bit risky in this draft because there's so much explosive damage, so much 80 carry damage here for T1.
Range, yeah.
And the range is a big problem. The engage range with the Sejuani too. So Brand feels a lot safer and a lot more consistent damage. Now, my concern for TL will be, what does level 1 look like? How do T1 set up these lanes? Do they decide to lane swap? Will we see the Zeri get a massive edge over the K'Sante? Because Brand, K'Sante versus Zeri Sejuani, yes, you don't have permafrost synergy there, but it can be a really finicky 2v2 there in the top side if not played correctly. Yes, you have a ton of damage output as the Brand, but if Zeus can whittle that health bar down before those fights happen, it's going to be really tough for Impact to play this one out. So I think this one's a big test for Impact. He played incredibly well in the first game, crushed the mid game, had great macro. Obviously struggled against the Jace early, but he turned it around. So maybe similar story here. I like both drafts this time. This is one of the first games I've cast this tournament. We've had a lot of wrong reads, the LPL really shocking us, but
yeah.
One of the first times I look at the draft to go, well, this one feels to me pretty dead even.
Yeah, it's a little bit more even than what we have seen in the past, absolutely. I think game number 1, definitely TL came in with a draft plan that worked out here. As you can see, Faker taking a little bit of a stretch. Good to see the fist bumps there from Tom, Roach, and Spawn. And we'll look to get into this one, see whether TL are going to be able to just finish this off. Could be a 2-0 for the North American squad. Augment that cash prize once again. Keep that key alive. Keep it out of that hydraulic press and possibly take another opponent's destroyed key with them towards the final. But can't count chickens before they begin hatching, Wolf, as we like to say. And T1 certainly, this is a draft that they looked fantastic on against BLG in the last day that we saw T1 playing. Something that might be able to just get it done once again. And I love watching Gumayusi play the Caitlyn. He is so incredibly good at this champion. And more recently, Wolf, it's been Keria playing Caitlyn.
Yeah.
So it's really good to see Gumayusi back on one of his best champs without his support just stealing it away.
Yeah, I mean, the Zeri flex to top was something we always knew could have happened here. They kind of baited the K'Sante in. They set it up for it perfectly. The Nara was banned, the TF was gone, and then they just left it open. They banned Mordekaiser instead. A new R4 pick priority went to TL, and once again, they have this Zeri top pick ready and set to go. So let's see if this works as well for T1 the second time around.
Yeah, we'll just have to see. I think the Rift is ready for us to jump on and get into it. Game number 2, do or die, here for T1. TL take this one. They are going straight towards the final here at EWC. And otherwise, they're heading towards game number 3 once again. The first time that TL has lost here in this tournament if they do lose here. Otherwise, they could make a clean sweep all the way through. As already, CoreJJ in a bit of trouble, but Impact already ready and waiting. Keria having to flash to get himself out of the way as Umpty moves on over. Let's see whether they can get any added damage down as the rocket jump going to get Faker out of dodge. And TL, yeah, they took a bit of damage, but they definitely answered back.
They certainly did. Flash down for Keria on this play. CoreJJ did use his Ignite. The health trade definitely favoring TL at the end of things. Faker is going to have to take a complete back. Should be able to get back to lane without any issue. However, and it was a little bit of a level 1 Braum shenanigans. They learned from Barrel. You know, their last domestic match didn't go so well when the concussive blows came through. But this time, TL were ready for it. They also had Impact in position. He's ready for the lane swap that TL are actually going to set up here. See Zeus on the top side. Not going to be laning into a K'Sante right away here. And this is quite a unique setup here for Team Liquid. They had an answer from the get-go. And this is one of the big question marks I had going into the second game was, will they just straight up lane it into the Caitlyn and struggle? Also struggling in the Zeri matchup? Of course not, because that would be terrible. And they've already showcased they know how to lane swap. And that's what we're going to be seeing here at level 1.
Yeah, once again, dodging the bot lane matchup, and you can understand exactly why Impact trying to get into range of these minions. As Zeus and Oner just going to be pairing up to try and clear out this jungle as quickly as possible. Impact needs to be a little careful. I don't think he's going to get dove just yet. As Oner and Zeus just getting through these camps.
Yep,
Now, they'll start rotating around pretty soon. Umpty on full vision here for T1 at the same time.
Helping the clear, as Brand has an insanely fast clear, and unfortunately, Zeus isn't going to be having a good time 1v2 as the Zeri does have teleport. And Impact, you know, he's not going to like the lane into Zeri. He's obviously going to have a worse time in the lane swap, as all top laners do, into the Caitlyn. Level 2 is hit here. Zeus is coming over.
Yeah, there are 4 people heading towards Impact here who's going to have to vacate. I don't know whether he's going to be able to hit level 2 before he just straight up dies. As Oner comes on over, he'll start off the Gromp here first. But now it's T1, 3-man strong here looking to take plates, and they'll take them quickly at the same time. You can see the back starting to come through from Yon and Core JJ as they have pushed that wave in. That is entirely going to go, but the plate money really pushes this in favor of T1. And this was the change that happened. Is Impact taking a bit of damage here from Oner right now? Permafrost comes down. Impact down to about 300 health. But this is why it's so tough to lane swap, right? Zeus going to teleport up towards his top side after everyone's left. He'll be able to get a fair bit of experience here as well. And these plates going down so much more money into the coffers of T1. You can see that's reflected in the gold.
You can see Impact also, you know, he has teleport, doesn't need to use it, but he is going to be significantly behind in XP when he does clash with the Zeri in the top lane. It's going to be super frustrating to play out, walking all the way back. Now, T1 knew that with the amount of pressure they could put on bottom side, not only could they get some plate gold, which they've gotten 3 of already, they'd probably force a return of Yon and Core JJ. They get no plates. They get an XP lead top side, as well as some of Umpty's jungle there. So big wins really everywhere here for T1. Looked like TL read the play well. The lane swap setup was good, but maybe underestimating some of the power of that Caitlyn push.
Yep. And just wanting to dodge this bottom lane matchup being the big thing, right? Like, that's the only real advantage that they managed to find. Is Impact walking towards Zeus here. Doesn't quite find that cue. As now Umpty moving on in. Flash has to be invested. A lot of respect given over here. As now APA and Faker once again going aggressive. The explosive charge going to even out the trade nicely as there's a flash to get away from the rocket jump. Faker taking a lot of damage in return, but he has his flash available. APA not so lucky.
Yeah, Faker can just stave off the pressure here, heal up a little bit with that pot. Might be able to actually find himself in kill range once he hits level 6 shortly here. APA going to respect that and just back away. Faker can clear this no problem. Likely to trade a teleports down here.
Yeah, in goes Core JJ. The door is placed in front though, and Keria is going to say, nope, no presence for you. As Core JJ actually going to tank the Winter's Bite momentarily. Gumayusi taking a lot of damage though from Yon. They do need to be careful. Now Faker going to be teleporting back to lane. Him and APA, both of them utilizing that Summoner spell in order to get back here. And Faker with about a wave of a lead right now. Things looking pretty good as once again, okay. Zeus going to get pushed back. Impact going aggressive, finding the Qs this time around. Zeus not necessarily navigating it quite as well as he was. I thought it was an expert performance earlier on up against BLG. This time around, Impact is finding a few of these angles, but just not quite as much of the farm as Oner is going to get the Valkyrie out from APA. He is still going to get pushed away. Yeah, Faker going so aggressive. There's the Buster Shot. There's the full stack. And there is APA just getting sent back home.
Yeah, I mean, even though he's not in kill range here, that was the level 6 advantage I was discussing moments ago. Can just force in the back. He already has a significant CS lead, and that's going to be furthered. Maybe even play gold coming over now. Umpty is down here on the bottom side. This trap is going to be a bit of an issue here, but they do circumnavigate it.
Yeah.
And T1, I think, have a pretty good read about this.
You can see Umpty. Actually, the Yordle Snap Trap is going to break as Core JJ in that brush, wanting to find an angle here as he clears out the ward. Gumayusi not going to bite, though. And I think Umpty is going to complete this one. Doesn't want to waste too much time down here.
They're going to lose Grubs for this, too, because he wanted to make this happen. But T1 just so smart, able to read the play. And because it's Caitlyn, he's not going to lose too much farm here as well out of that threat because he has such long range to actually last at those minions. Zeus really putting the pressure on up here.
This is feeling a little bit more like what we were expecting out of this matchup. Zeus just relentlessly throwing burst fires towards the Cassante. And Umpty comes on over, is able to clear out this Gromp camp, Krug camp pretty quickly, but doesn't see that Oner's moving on in. His top lane in a whole host of trouble. There's first blood going over to Zeus as the turret is going to be tanked here by Oner. Umpty wants to get a little bit of extra damage, but he doesn't have the spells, and it's a double kill for Zeus. They get one back as a consolation prize, but Wolf, are we signing the papers? What's happening?
I mean, I'm almost ready to at this point as Faker.
Yeah, Faker and APA just always fighting here in the mid lane. Down to half health, as is correct for Corki versus Tristana, as we have seen.
Yeah, and Faker not quite able to put that pressure back on just yet. They know that Oner was dead, so Core JJ is also coming over here looking for a potential opportunity to collapse in. He does have flash. The wave is going to crash here, but the timing... Ooh, I was going to say the timing pretty good for Faker to get out of here, but he doesn't have TP, so he's going to stick around. He may be in trouble now.
Yep, Core JJ making his way over. There's the flash shield of Daybreak, but Faker's going to buffer the Buster shot so beautifully, and Oner is here as well. Core JJ could be in trouble. No flash up and available, and he has a blast cone. We'll see whether that's going to be enough, but nope. That is going to be concussive blows coming through. Keria even has the door to make sure they don't take damage from that true shot barrage. And Impact, possibly also collateral damage from this one. The extender beam comes in. The all-out is going to pull Oner over. And maybe Impact now has an avenue for escape, and he does. He'll be able to utilize the blast cone, get back towards that top side, but wasting so much time here.
Yeah, he doesn't have TP. And Zeus is going to be able to push this turret pretty quickly here. So he's going to lose some farm, probably going to lose a plate at least. And great rotation from Keria. APA,
yeah,
in danger.
He does get the honey fruit, but Yun's making his way over, and remember, there's Brand towards the bottom side of this one as well. Keria gonna get spotted as Umpty looking for it, wants to be able to find the damage, doesn't get the stun as we can see there as the series going to miss. And Keria does get the passive procced on him, takes a fair bit of damage, but otherwise we'll be able to make it out. Now Zeus just getting to work on this top lane outer turret. 2 plates for the Zeri, who already has 2 kills under her belt. Oh man, that little slingshot I think is going to become a cooler item very, very quickly. Wolf
about to get a little bit more electric here in the inventory. Now Umpty will be able to get this first dragon here bottom side uncontested because of the really proactive play bottom side there by TL. I will say, you know, compared to the LCK, I think T1 and Gen.G are definitely our most proactive early game teams that will make these rotations happen, will look for aggressive plays more often than the rest of the LCK, just simply because they're afraid to make a mistake against a stronger team, fall too far behind. TL, not afraid. That proactivity at least nets them this dragon. If they had lost on both sides of the map, would have been much worse, but still, T1 with a 2,000 gold lead here in this second game. And this Zeri starting to get larger and larger.
Yeah. Oh, there's a solar flare. Gumayusi going to get slowed down. True shot barrage not is going to connect. A little bit of a delay there as Keria moves on in.
Oner's here.
The door is in a weird spot, but Oner's moving on down. It's a large minion wave though. Gumayusi doesn't have a whole lot of health. They spot Bristle and Sejuani as they move into the river. TL going to be safe and get themselves back out. Or are they? Yes, they are.
Yeah. Keria looking for maybe something here as Faker is relentless of his pressure on APA. Does have a, you know, fair bit of item damage now early with those components and has half of his call completed, so he is really going to pull ahead very soon here.
Ooh, Impact not quite able to find that third Q. Keeping himself in it here towards the top side. Pretty upset about how things went as far as that gank from T1 was concerned. Wasn't a great time and isn't a great time now. As Leandri's now completed for Umpty, he's going to be doing a lot of damage. Does need to watch out for the door. The Unbreakable can make things real tough. As we check out the crowd here in the Kadir Arena.
Came from Dubai to watch the GOAT. We got people here from everywhere. As this is looking like Grubs 2 T1 here. Might be able to get the full 6
already.
Umpty nearby.
I think TL needs to try and get at least one of these, but nope. That is going to be 5 taken here as Oner moves his way out. They'll accept a 5-for-1 trade as far as those Grubs are concerned. It's now Yun fighting against Gumayusi here towards the bottom side. Guma looks to be absolutely fine with that situation, especially with Keria just off to the side. Jan needs to be so careful. Oner here towards the top side as well. Everyone on TL is in so much trouble. That was a decent dodge there as Jan not going to walk in to the Glacial Fissure. True Shot Barrage looking to be traded as APA moves towards the bottom side. Jan is so low, and APA, he's just going to explode. Faker's in there, Carry's in there, and there is Core JJ trying to Hex Flash his way to safety. I don't think even the Eclipse can save him from this one, though, as Gumayusi almost dies to minions, but he's able to move himself out of the way, and Core JJ will, in fact, be all right.
Yeah, a bit of a miscalculation here for TL. Core JJ staying mid there. Faker able to make the play happen with the TP bottom side. Zeus going to take this top side turret and deny some additional farm. T1 winning everywhere on this play, and Guma down on the bottom side. He's not quite able to get the kill with his ult, but still enough damage there. And this was just such a good read from T1, knowing that Leona is still mid. They can TP in, match the Corki here. There's a really cool moment as well here for Faker, where you see he realizes, he calculates, do I Buster Shot APA? No, I think I kill both of them. Goes for Yun instead with the flash, then kills APA, picks up so much money. 3 kills now on this Tristana, who also has 5 grubs. This is the magic number to wreck turrets in this mid game. Faker is going to be a menace in this second game.
He already is, absolutely. And I feel like T1 have taken game number 1 personally here as Yun going to get pushed away. Zeus comes in, and Yun's like, I thought their AD carry was a Caitlyn. He's not. Oh, well, he is. But it's also a Zeri coming from the top side of the map, and Core JJ once again finds himself underneath the turret with kind of nowhere to go. Winter's Bite is going to miss.
More kills, more plates.
Waiting for the minions, and I think this Leona is just going to go down. Solar Flare is a lot of extra value, and Zeus, he will die. 600 gold goes over to a Leona, but they'll lose their outer turret on this bottom side.
It's almost arguable that this is a big win for Zeus as well. No one else is going to be able to get that shutdown gold going to Leona. Still relatively valuable gold. Of course, they get something back for it, but that's another turret, another plate. And T1 in full control right now. You can see Impact is pushing top side, is Shadow, but Yun's in trouble.
Dear. Yun is just going to get prisoned and destroyed. Able to give a good old thumbs up before that one, is now TL looking to try and counteract the play. Let's see whether Impact can find anything. The all-out does go down onto Oner, as the ultimate from Keria is pretty good there as well to keep them at bay. Impact is getting lower and lower as Gumayusi is firing shot after shot into the back of this Cassante. APA moving over, though. Let's see whether this Corgi is going to be enough to be the difference maker, and the answer is probably not. Yeah, T1 just walk it off.
And T1, they know too. I mean, this is a bit of a, it's a tough call to make for Impact, because if he stays topside, he gets an additional plate. He's able to maybe get some gold out of it, but he commits his TP, he won't get anything for it, doesn't get the plates topside there as now plates expire, and it's concussive blows and permafrost, and you're Cassante. Unfortunately, it's really tough to make that work with the TP coming through, even with those low health bars there for T1. With the pushback, though, looks like they'll be able to secure their second Drake of the game. We'll see what soul it is, because it's going to take a big comeback in this one for TL if they're going to bring us to the 2-0 win, the upset completion. It's Infernal, so at least, extremely valuable soul they've got a 2-dragon lead on. But I don't know if this is going to be the last dragon they take in this game or not. I'm kind of leaning that way, because there is just no map control whatsoever. Another turret down. I mean, T1 just feels like they could do no wrong with this lead.
Certainly feeling like we're getting angry T1. I feel like we got angry G2 yesterday after dropping the first game to FlyQuest. Angry T1 are certainly out here in game number 2, and this is immaculate gameplay. This is what we were expecting from the world champions.
In game 1?
I mean, what we're expecting in a grand scale, but they did just lose to KT, so there needs to be some caveats. But after taking down BLG, it's definitely good.
No, true. I mean, in game 1, it was TL game to play their game, their play style, their game plan. T1 had to react. This time, it's T1 playing their game plan, their play style. The Zeri top flex, Guma's Caitlyn, excellent handling of the lane swaps, good map movements. All around, you can see the gold lead reflected here.
That's a lot of 80 carries with a lot of money, Wolf.
Yeah, it's 3 of them at the top of the charts. Faker actually behind Zeus in gold, despite being a 3-kill Tristana, was able to take up so much there in the mid turret as well. But it just really shows how well T1 knows how to play this comp. But this is the style of comp they practiced going into this tournament, the style of comp they showed us in their very first game against BLG. And it is a much different story, a far cry from game 1.
Certainly is. Umpty now moving in, wants to try and stay out of vision as he moves into the top side here. Let's try and catch them unawares with this Large amount of damage that he does have available. Oner looking for impact, and we'll be able to find the Winter's Wrath. Yon moving up as well, and the Brand is still lurking. Now going to be following these minions forward. Can this flank angle actually work out as Yon has to get himself out of the way? Teleport to come in from APA as well as Zeus going to get slowed down, and he will pop like a balloon. And that could... talking about there, Wolf, because that could have been a much larger shutdown if it hadn't already gone over the core.
True, but it's still a big kill here onto the Zeri.
Oh, okay, Faker. He's going to dive into 3 people. Not sure about that one. He flashes away immediately. Maybe just didn't quite know where everyone was because there's a Rift Herald destroying the inner turret in mid lane, and TL seem unconcerned about that particular eventuation. It's going to be Umpty going down, though, and T1 are winning on this side as well. CoreJJ takes down Oner, but T1 are still on the offensive. TL get towards the inner turret. Not going to be any more deaths for now, but I think that inner turret is going to be worth.
That's a very T1 moment there, where Faker goes in, the rotation is coming up of his support, and mid laner, or rather top laner, is pushing bottom lane. They have the push in mid. Guma can crush that turret so quickly, so buying time, keeping TL locked in to the top lane. They get mid turret, they're going to get this bottom inner.
Yeah, trying to protect the minions here as they look to try and take down the turret. They will be able to do so as APA has to flash away Impact. Looking to make his way in, though. Core is there as well. And Zeus, it turns into a 1v2. He flashes forward. APA will go down, but it'll be a trade as the Zenith Blade max range will help lock down Gumayusi. TL, they ain't going down without a fight, but it's still not looking too great for the North American squad, down 9,000 gold.
Yeah, there's just no critical kills onto the carries here. You know, there's no extra gold going over to APA. The shutdown there from Zeus there, or rather the kill traded from him, was actually well played. And then you look at Corki sitting on a Triforce and a stacked tier. That's not really where you want to be in this mid game when you're looking at Tristana sitting on 2 items, a Caitlyn about to be hitting 2 as well. The Zeri also very much close to 3 items, sitting on 6 kills. And so, yes, you got some shutdown gold. Yes, you got some kills back, and it's not just TL going quietly into that good night. But at the end of the day, this Tristana with 5 grubs, we talk so much about this in this tournament, in the LCK, everywhere regionally, in every domestic league. This Tristana can be such a problem, and she certainly is. Zeus knows he is doomed here.
Yeah,
decides to go for the kill.
As soon as Yon's over the wall, he's like, well, I'm dead. Let's see whether I can kill someone as I go down.
And Umpty actually, you know, I don't want to say he stole the kill, but going over to him, still relatively useful gold here because Brand utilizes items very well in terms of team fight damage, but it's the Ezreal that can never stand up to this Caitlyn, cannot stand up to a Zeri. I mean, it's just going to get aced in the hole here by Guma and pushed back, and this is the problem here for TL, is if the shutdowns were on the right champions, if the kills went over, maybe you could see a world.
Impact might be able to find an opportunity here as the Glacial Fissure comes down. Doesn't really do too much there as it's eaten by Impact. And now CoreJJ taking a lot of damage. Faker could be in trouble, though. The big one, oh, just barely is going to miss as Keria. He'll have the door back, and he'll be able to protect the go to the mid lane. In the meantime, Oner's looking to 1v1 Yon, who does have the cleanse available for the Glacial Prison. But the fact that Oner can kind of walk in front of 3 people and not care while an inhibitor is being taken on the bottom side of the map just shows how far T1 are in the lead.
Yeah, and we talk about Zeri's ability to kill turrets sometimes when you end up getting a kill in the mid lane, and it's like, okay, AD carry is going to maybe get some extra plate gold if it's that early going mid, or okay, maybe going to grab an early turret because she can hurt turrets really well. And the side lane, as a top laner, can do a lot. Now, this is a Hail Mary call here. They have control vision on this Baron. They've swept it. I don't know if they have enough damage, though, and Keria spots this out. Faker nearby. They're in trouble.
Yeah, and now CoreJJ actually going to get tagged by the Winters. By the Ignite comes in, and Faker, he does have the rocket jump. He kind of learned from what happened last time around, though. Doesn't want to dive in on top of 3 people. And T1, they do exactly what they want, right? They get them off the Baron, stop that from being traded potentially, and force TL to go back. And so not really going to be losing anything from this play. We're approaching 10,000 gold, the lead for T1. And they're going to start stacking. It could be a 4 stack of Infernal Drakes if this game goes that long.
I don't know if we're setting up for a game that long with a 10,000 gold lead, but you know what? It certainly could. That's an extra backup plan, you know, potentially.
Maybe they'll kill the Nexus first, but after they kill the Nexus, they'll go back and they'll kill the rest of the dragons.
Yeah, they'll just not press continue and go back to the post-game
yeah. Do you want to keep playing? Yes, please. So we've all been in that situation, you know? You feel like you've got such a great run going that even though the game's kind of over, you want to play with those cool items. items that you've built?
I want to play, T1 want to play endless on this one.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this Baron, definitely, there's enough damage here for T1 to take this one out. Keria is just kind of holding the door metaphorically here in this choke point. They have also this Caitlyn trap. Really tough for TL to close the gap. They're not going to actually complete the Baron, but we'll just put Guma in mid and continue to push.
Yep.
Yun's used his E, and now we're set up for a potential vision clear and start it up again.
Yep.
Look at the Caitlyn traps now.
Yeah. All of the traps just going to be lining the choke as teleport actually going to be invested here from Zeus. So T1, they want to lock down this Baron now. Looks like TL should be able to get themselves in here though, so at least it could be an opportunity. Flash available for Umpty to get into the pit. Let's see whether the General can be the hero. He flashes through, but he's unable to lock it down, and now T1 are going to get their team fight. Already the brand is being taken out. CoreJJ so low, but there's the all out from Impact, and Yon over to the side. Zeus, the last man standing really here as far as the damage is concerned. That was obscene from TL.
Impact really playing that very well there, and you're all stacked up on the Baron. Guma is just so fragile in these moments, and yes, you get the Baron here, but TL with a much better setup coming into the fight. They have a Leona pushing through, got over the trap wall there and was able to close the gap, and then T1 are kind of trapped there. They win the 50-50. I mean, it's practically a 50-50 in this case. Umpty's not quite able to steal it, but they can't win the ensuing fight. These types of fights, I mean, this is one baby step, it feels like, compared to the gold lead here. But these types of fights, if you can win a few of these, maybe TL could get back into this game. As you see, CoreJJ slips through the traps here. Yun on a nice angle here. And when Umpty comes through, the smite does come over. But look at this engage from CoreJJ. APA free-firing over the wall. And there is just no way out here. Then Impact says, all right, Guma, I'm taking you with me, but also using you to close the gap. Zeus will just barely escape with his life, but it's a huge swing of gold here for TL. Still 9,000 gold behind.
Yep, so much shutdown money going over to Yum though, so that's definitely fantastic for this Ezreal as CoreJJ going in once again. Gumayusi, nice net to get himself out of the way of the Solar Flare. There's now Impact trying to be valuable, looking for these Qs as Keria standing stalwart in that front line. T1 just going to get these waves in order though. The one last Baron circling around Zeus here will be able to conga line all of these minions with full power towards the inhibitor in the mid lane.
Just going to run circles around TL here, not take the straight up 5v5 fight. They don't want to deal with Impact as a frontliner.
This is somewhat dangerous, though. You can see Impact is rotating over, and there is a Zenith blade to connect this one. Pillar of Flame not really landing, and that is a true shot barrage straight into a door. And Faker wanting to take down this inhibitor. Oh my goodness, okay, Zeus, I'm not sure about that one, but he takes down the brand, and there goes another one as well. They get the shutdown, but is it going to be worth it as Impact is a brick wall, and he's going to be able to take another one. Yun chasing after Faker. He is rocket jumping and blast coning, and will be able to get himself out, but again, it's TL winning the fight.
Yeah, let's see if Yun can catch Faker here. It looks like he's not going to take the chance. Doesn't have flash. Looking for a potential angle here. We're just going to head topside instead. I don't know if he actually wins that one anymore, unfortunately for him either. If he does find Faker, Faker would be happy to take the exchange. But at the end of the day here, you can really start to feel the lack of a true frontline here for T1. As Keria, when he's got the door, he's a front line, but when it's on cooldown, it gets a little bit tougher. Oner's isolated here by Impact on the other side, and there just isn't the same amount of consistent damage here to deal with Impact, even when you have 380 carries. Once Guma jumps in and makes interesting decision there, let's say, the damage output, unfortunately, to break through this Cassante is just not there. And that's the trade-off. Yeah, you have 380 carries, so yeah, maybe you can toss one in and it won't necessarily matter. But TL, they have a huge front line. Randuin's is done. He's got Warden's Mail as well. He's so incredibly tanky. And I think T1 still massively in the lead, of course, and looking to get their second Infernal, but maybe need to play a little bit respectfully in the next engage.
I would agree. I think TL are also going to get a little bit more scary as this game goes on, right? Because we haven't really spoken about the damage profile because the game kind of went completely out the window very early on. So items weren't necessarily a relevant thing. However, you mentioned the amount of armor that Impact's building. You can also see a Warden Mail being picked up by CoreJJ. There's some Tabis being picked up across the board outside of Umpty, who does want those Sork shoes. And so if this game is allowed to go on much longer, and you can see it's 14-13 in the kills. TL have really pulled back as far as that is concerned. It's the 8 turrets to 0 that's the massive gold lead.
Oh, yeah.
But with bounties up, if they start to take some of them, it could really swing back as the Glacial Prison. Not a whole lot of follow-up here as TL are going to stand their ground for the moment. Zeus pokes his head out as now Faker Thinks he's found Yun, but he does have the Arcane Shift to get himself out of the way. And now Zeus looking to chase after Impact. Umpty gonna be the one corner though, and Zeus takes him out. Oh, the brand is a big part of the damage profile here for TL. And now JJ, the next one that's gonna be taken out. They're falling like dominoes, just one after the other. And right as I was talking about it, the window's back in here for TL. T1 are gonna kind of slam the door shut on their fingers as this inhibitor turret is going to fall down. The second inhibitor going to go as well. And T1, they might have been thinking about it as well. They're like, well, let's just not let them build those cool armor items. Let's just end the game.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to end here unless they get another pick. Umpty coming up in 12 seconds, Core JJ up in 10. They should be able to grab that final inhibitor, so that in itself is practically as good as the final nail in the coffin here for TL, but they still have one final opportunity here. 45 seconds until this next Baron spawns. And like you said, I was going to say it, and you called it out first. If they win one fight, grab Baron, and take all of the standing gold that's on the map, plus the bounties they'll pick up, I mean, the gold lead will actually swing. It's rare to see, like, to even discuss the possibility of like a 10,000 gold swing, but it's there for the taking. All they have to do is win the fight. Now that's the hard part. That's the tricky part. 3 inhibitors down. I don't see it happening. I don't think it's going to occur. But it may be a Hail Mary, maybe some miracle play comes through, but I think T1, all they need to do is play safe, control this vision, let the minions, the super minions, do the work, double stacked across all 3 lanes with no inhibitors up. TL fighting blind.
As Yun wanted to avoid the ace in the hole damage, 50% on the health bar now as Oner just kind of able to ignore what Umpty's doing at this point in time as the Baron getting taken down so incredibly quickly. There's a lot of 80 carries in this game, and they do a lot of DPS. As Umpty looking to move in once again. He does have Flash one more time as well. And T1, yeah, they know that this is not the fight they really want to take, and they don't have to. Because there are super minions that will win the game.
The minions are doing their job, and this is putting TL between, as we like to say in the Elsa game, between a rock and a hard place. You're going to either have to defend your base, but you got to stop this Baron. You can't do both.
Yep. And it's a very precious rock and a purple place in this game, Wolf. That's where they find themselves. And T1, they kind of want to win a fight. Is Keria going to go down first? There is the passive being procced, but look at this. I mean, Zeus is just in there. Impact goes all out, but he will be dead. Or out of there. Yeah, there he goes. Explodes in a fiery explosion of cinders. That is going to be the second Nexus of the series going down, but it's one apiece after game number 2.
And you know what? We got to see TL play their game in game 1. The Ziggs, absolute control with the lane swaps. T1 plays their game in game 2. And we got to see 2 back-to-back stomps between LCK's representative, the final one, and NA's. I can't wait to see what game 3 has in store for us.
I can't wait either. I think a little bit more one-sided here in game number 2, but game 3, it'll be a side selection switch over. We're going to go to a short break. When we get back, the studio are going to break it down.
Honor 200 series, the best portrait phone AI empowered. Studio level, AI portrait camera, 3 hardcore portrait modes. color, vibrant and classic to capture portraits that truly stand out. AI-empowered Magic Portal. Snapdragon 8S Gen 3 AI chipset. 5,200 milliampere per hour silicon carbon battery, 100 watt, Oner Supercharge. This is Oner 200 series.
Welcome back to the Esports World Cup presenting League of Legends as T1 came back with fury after their Game 1 loss and put a shellacking down on Team Liquid in Game number 2. Although Team Liquid did try to make it look close, 10,000 gold down, T1 were able to close the door on any comeback attempt that APA and the rest of Team Liquid had to tie us up here and send us to a sudden death Game number 3 here in the semifinals. Our first semifinals here at day 2 of EWC. And only one team can move on to play for the lion's share of $1 million, have their frame immortalized in the totem, and the key put into the game trophy. Welcome back, everyone. Digon alongside Joshi and Valdez here in the area. And Joshi, that was brutal.
Yeah, that was a bit of a slacking right there. We didn't have a whole lot that we really showed in that game. We had a couple moments where it felt as though T1 were making it look a little bit more difficult than they potentially needed to, but ultimately, every single time they made one of these small mistakes, they were still getting objectives anyway.
T1 were just so far ahead that no matter how much happy gaming they went for, it just did not matter. And, you know, I'm not sure if they really had to do that. You know, Zeus flashing in on top of a brand, ulting everybody, and then immediately dying up 10,000 gold. Probably not what you had to do. But they didn't have a lot of engage, so I guess they got the job done eventually anyway.
Let's take a look at the draft here, as it felt like there was a specific game plan in this one by Team 1 to attack a target here at TO.
It really was. They had a lot of pressure getting put onto Umti's champion pool right off the bat, but after that, I really like this Zeri flex pick that T1 has built up for themselves. Now that Zeus has showcased that it is a strong counter pick into the Cassante up in the top side, it puts a lot of pressure on Impact to try and make something happen in these games when he's just going to get out stat checked every single time he goes for a fight.
There's definitely an angle for an R5, you know, kind of pick that we don't see very often, like a Rammus or something like that in the jungle, and just build up a ton of armor because 380 carries and Sejuani's. So, but the game just didn't ever look like it was in a place where that ever mattered. Obviously, it could have. You know, TL could have gone for that pick, and maybe this game would have looked a little bit differently. But yeah, eventually the early game was just so one-sided to the side of T1 that I don't think it mattered what champions were on the Rift, they were going to win the game.
Yeah, again, clinical and exactly what we expected from the world champs. Let's take a look at some of the highlights here from game number 2. We start with Impact now on the receiving end of what happened to Zeus in game number 1.
Yeah, we also got to see this was kind of T1 coming back and rectifying their mistakes for the first time. I tried to dive Impact the first game. It didn't go so well. And this time, I was a little worried that was going to get something back at a kill, but turns out you can just kill him.
You can just kill him. Double kill for them, for the Zeri, and, you know, we stamped that official Zeri moment very early on in the game, and, you know, that's only one of the 380 carries that they had. The rest of the lanes were also going very well for T1.
That's right. Bot lane is where the next set of action happened as, again, more on the same front here as Keria just jumping onto Yan and just not a lot of things that TL could do to kick things off. Ace in the hole almost cleaned things up, but then APA getting caught.
In many ways, this felt like T1's last real attempt to come back into the game. They bring multiple members down to try and find some of these counter ganks, but unfortunately, a really good trap coming out from Gumayusi does end up taking down APA there. And then it happens again because Zeus ends up coming down towards the bottom side, tries to find even more opportunities. They find more and more dives, and it just feels as though T1 is just firing on all cylinders, and Team Liquid didn't have anything to say about it.
Yeah, and after these couple of plays, the game got extremely messy. There were a lot of moments where T1 were all over the map doing crazy things that they did not have to do. I personally did not want to see that because, you know, they were so far ahead, they could have just cleanly ended the game, but instead we got a very happy second half of the game from T1.
That's right, and a lot of that happiness came here over at the Baron pit. Had to have a couple of ways on in and try to make some hero plays, but T1 just shut the door.
Wallets are very heavy, Degon, and these wallets were extraordinarily heavy. And even though there were a couple moments here where we did get to see Team Liquid actually find a lot of kills, turns out just having the one Baron buff on Zeri was enough. Even though we only had the one Baron buff here, T1 was still able to take the mid lane turret and the mid lane inhibitor off of that.
Yeah, again, I think you were looking in the draft maybe for the Rammus or something, but the Cassante is starting to get a lot of value with Impact on the top side here, Valdez.
I mean, he built one item, a Randuin's. That's all he needed to build. And eventually he became almost immortal in this game. It just, again, the goal difference was just so large that it didn't quite matter. As we do take a look at the end of the game as well, eventually T1 decide, okay, let's group up as 5 and not send our Zeri in to try to 1v5. We could probably just end the game.
Yeah, it turns out Zeri just needs to go in for the teleport at the end of the game in order to get a couple of Nexus turrets and also find, effectively push Impact out of the game entirely. This really felt like the T1 that a lot of people were expecting to be going up against Team Liquid, but I still have a little bit of copium left to huff here, Degon, because the next game, Team Liquid's going to be back on the blue side, and that means we have way more opportunities to pick the Ziggs again.
That's right. Ziggs going to be helpful here. 60 seconds before we toss to the break and get into the action here, Valdez. So what do you see that was successful here for Team 1 in terms of preparation that will carry over here in game number 3?
I mean, I like to see that even with kind of a wonky draft and some interesting picks, they were still able to dominate very heavily in that early game. That's what I like out of T1. That's what we see very often, just very proactive early game plays, getting early leads all over the map. And they were able to do that. So I feel like game number 1, a little bit of a fluke, you could say. Team Liquid did play excellently, and T1 were very caught off guard. But I was happy to see that T1 actually just kind of gathered themselves and had a great game number 2.
All right, Joshi, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Mid lane matchups, we've seen a lot of Trist, a lot of Corki. We know that Ziggs is the prior there for TL. What does the GOAT pull out on the opposite side here?
I definitely think we're going to be looking at another Tristana game, most likely from Faker. You cannot afford to be playing the Azir. You don't really want to be giving over the Corki either. And it really puts a very limited number of champions that Faker really wants to play.
All right, again, a matchup that we've seen 3 times so far this split. Team Liquid versus Team Liquid versus T1. I was going to say Team Liquid versus TL there. Team Liquid versus T1. Again, this one for the marbles. Who will be moving on to the finals of EWC? We'll find out together after this break.
SemiFinals? We got a little bit more time before draft starts, so we're gonna have some fun here. Because we've got a lively crowd, and I'm a little nervous for this next part, because I think I know how it's gonna go. But remember when we did Battle Chants a few days ago? All right, I believe I'm in the T1 section right now. Can I get a T1 fighting? They're just gonna keep going unless I stop them. So I wanna hear from the Team Liquid section over there. I know that there's at least a couple of you. Let's get a Let's Go Liquid! All right, we're having a lot of fun here at the arena. Oh, we got some booze as well. But we're gonna have even more fun together because we're all here as fans of League of Legends. So we're gonna get the wave going that way, and we're gonna get it back. And by the time it gets back to here, we're gonna throw it over the casters. Are we ready? Yeah! All right, everybody around me. You ready? Over here? Bring it back!
Thank you so much, Kangas. You guys look like you're having a whole lot of fun out there, and it is time to witness some more people having a whole lot of fun on Summoner's Rift. Or maybe it's actually just going to be a whole lot of intense action, because T1 and TL, both of these teams, one last chance to stay in the tournament.
One last chance, one final game. TL having side selection. They came in as the higher seed from the LCS. So as a result, in this third game, they'll have the opportunity to pick blue side, as was alluded to by Joshi earlier. Now, Corki gone, LeBlanc gone, Senna gone. Feels very familiar. We'll see if T1 also ban the Tristana here, or will they ban the Ziggs? It's a question, you know, I didn't think I'd be asking today, but after game one, certainly something to consider. Rumble already taken away, and they will actually adapt and ban the Ziggs. Respect shown here for APA.
But I think it's a trap, because TL then just gets Tristana for free. It's a dangerous one. A gambit here taken from T1. Still not fully making up their mind just yet on the TL side, but I think this Tristana is a pretty confident lock-in, and I'm very intrigued as to what Faker has as the response to the Trist.
Something like an Azir here might just be the way Faker goes. You know, these are the two main AD mids that we have. The Corki, the Tristana, no longer available. We've seen Yone, but it's really tough to play. It's tough to play the Tristana here. And it could be one of those games where we just see T1 go back to comfort. Now, the Ashe is also still available, even without the Sejuani, without the Rumble. A very strong pick here. They don't have to lock in jungle just yet because there's a pretty good chance they're not going to be looking for a strong AP jungle on their side. See what they grab with this. I think we will see Faker's mid pick in this slot. The question is, what is it going to be? The Azir, the standout one for me.
Yeah.
And there it is.
Just a bit of a standard one here, and of course, APA can buffer the rocket jump to get out of Emperor's Divides and things like that. We've seen Tristana into Azir many, many times. Oh, we'll see. Oh, this is an adaptation, and I think mid lane Talia has been nerfed on this patch, right? But it was mainly the jungle variety, and Faker has certainly put in a whole bunch of hours on this particular pickup. So a different flavor of Shuriman mid laner.
Yeah.
As now Umpty back to definitely one of his most played. Of course, he played 2 champions back in the LCS, and this is one of them.
Yep, the Sejuani game in Game 1 looked pretty good. That was the other pick that he did play in the LCS. This will be the second. Picking the Talia early here is pretty interesting, considering they could have gone for a Vi pick in this slot as well if they wanted to play that duo. There's a lot of different options here being considered for APA. I think flexing that Tristana bottom is a risky call. Don't think this is really the angle TL are looking for. Maybe perhaps just reminding everyone how good he is at the champion. But he is gonna lock it. Oh no, he's not. That was just trolled by production.
Yeah, he's gonna lock in the Zeri instead, just making sure he messes with us as much as possible. Staying on brand is APA in the mid lane. Not on brand though, is Umpty. He's gonna be playing Maokai this game.
Vi stock's way up. You have the Talia already. Zeri can get locked down by Vi. Now you are playing into a Maokai, which can be kind of tricky for Vi. But I think your ability to lock down the Tristana, lock down the Zeri, makes this one a pretty obvious lock-in here for Oner. Very classic LCK setup we have right now, where the arrow leads into a shove. You have the Vi follow-up. You can set it up with the Vi as well. So lots of really strong ways to kill this Zeri when we move into team fights later on. And this is a really tricky part of the draft here for both sides in terms of predicting what the top lane is going to play. And this is where red side gets a huge edge. On blue side, you got to take the Tristana away, but on red side, you get counter pick for Zeus.
Yeah, and I'm feeling like it's feeling very good for T1 because we haven't even mentioned the layering of targeted CC for Zeri is generally a good thing.
Yes.
And that's what they have in spades as well. And you mentioned the chain that can then occur. So Jan going to have to be very, very careful about his positioning in this particular game. Maybe not flashing into 3 people and pressing R like Zeus was pretty comfortable doing the last time around. There's Nautilus being taken away. So only one form of that brutal targeted CC you just can't get out of.
Yeah, that's one more gone, but they certainly can just opt into the Leona instead, unless they're going to ban it away themselves. So that is going to be taken off of the board here. See what this final ban is going to be. We pretty much have all of the main CC threats for Zeri already either locked in or banned away now. So this is a curious one. Perhaps a ban towards Zeus here on the top side might give us a hint as to what Impact is thinking here in this draft about what he wants to play. Can protect this pick a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm wondering now, with the Leona being banned away on the red side, the Na going to be taken away from Zeus. He hasn't been allowed to play that one all series long. Still does have the Cassante to go back towards if he would like to. But I'm just feeling like we might be in for a last pick Varus.
Yeah, that's what I was...
Like, I'm just feeling
You and I are on the same page. We cast this team so often. We know how they like to play these types of drafts, and that was exactly the same thought that was going through my mind. You ban the Gnar, they pick the Cassante. Now, they do have this Gragas in response here, which has been quite strong. Either the Twisted Fate or the Gragas, both are great picks into the Cassante in the top lane. Good for your damage profile if you do end up opting for the Gragas. It's like they're going to lock in...
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
I haven't been happy with the Udyr.
Yeah,
personally, we haven't seen it do good things and have happy times on Summoner's Rift, Wolf.
Yeah, the Bard pick here is going to be pretty good. I'm a lot more of a fan of this one for Core JJ in the bottom lane and the ability to potentially control the Ashe matchup. This is one that does help out quite a bit, but it's going to get a little bit tricky if it's going to be, for example, a Varus or Kalista pick. Classic T1 bottom duo with Ashe. So many different combinations they can go for. A lot of discussion about this one. They end up opting to the Rakan. I liked the Bard more for what the lane is going to do, but with how well Core JJ played Rakan in Game 1, they played it like a pick comp. They have the setup to blow people up with this Tristana. I'm not going to hate this one. We doubted it last time. We saw some lane swaps, but it worked incredibly well. Let's see what the game plan is going to be here for T1. Sivir Ashe is another pick duel that they played before, actually, and they're going to do it again.
So it was the right idea that we were having, of course, with Keria playing the Ashe in the support role. We know him as probably the best Ashe support in the world and was for a very long time. It was a little bit sad that it was Beryl that got the Ashe skin in the end, but you can't have everything. I mean, still, this is absolutely terrifying and should have a lot of control on that bottom side if it is going to be standard lane.
They had so many different things they could have played with this Ashe. This is why Ashe is basically permaban domestically in the LCK, because it could have been Ashe Varus, Ashe Kalista, Ashe Sivir, and there's so many different ways you could just crush this bottom lane, and it's so hard to play around. Consider also the Rakan is very fragile. If he gets caught by any of this CC, including the Vi, he can get out of a lot of things, but targeted CC like that Vi ultimate just sets up everything else. Same with the Zeri. I think Umpty has a huge responsibility going to these team fights to make sure his ultimate is impactful. He can turn on a dime, shut some of these dives down if his ults are timed correctly. If he goes in and sets up a route at the right moment, Zeri gets that first kill, could be a completely different story. I don't think this draft is unplayable for TL by any means, but it feels like we're going back to T1's bread and butter, stock standard, what everybody loves to play in the LCK. This is their wheelhouse, and they've gotten a fantastic draft, to be honest with you, Atlas.
No, I would agree. I think that it doesn't take away from the fact that TL do have some strong points, but I just keep getting drawn towards the top lane, Wolf, and I'm not a big fan of the Udyr. And maybe, you know, watching FlyQuest really not find any value with it yesterday, could be coming into it. We'll have to see what Impact can do on the champion instead. But I'm hoping that we do see the level of pressure from this Udyr lane that you require extraordinarily early on. And the thing is, if it is going to be more of these lane swap shenanigans, maybe Team Liquid have a little bit of a plan to get Impact into a better spot so that throughout that early mid game, he can really put the pressure on there, because it otherwise could just really once again be an Udyr running around and not really doing a whole lot of much towards the end of this game. Trying to be tanky, not necessarily figuring it out. As I think we do have, once again, a little bit of something going on. I think it was Keria that was being inspected momentarily, or maybe I am wrong. We'll just have to find out, as here we are. Never mind, nothing going wrong. We are ready for game number 3. I hope everyone in the Keria arena is also ready to dive into this one, as everyone's spawning in. I'm looking forward to seeing whether things are going to work out for TL like they did in game number 1, or whether T1 have just locked in and we're just going to have them sailing towards the final.
It has certainly been 2 very one-sided games leading up until this point, and this draft, we do give a huge edge to T1 based on the ways they can shut down this area, how comfortable they are with this composition. Obviously, we have 2 LCK casters sitting on the casting booth, so, you know, there's a little bit of feeling like I know what T1 can do with this more than I trust TL with this composition. Impact going to try to be a little bit annoying here at level 1. Now, I don't hate the Udyr, but I do think it is pretty binary, and the ways in which Impact can make an impact, no pun intended, on this game are going to be reliant on a lot of map control, reliant on his ability to flank, whether he has a lead in his lane, if Umpty can get some ganks for him, maybe he can put the pressure on this Cassante. Otherwise, he's just going to be a relatively weak front line that double 80 carry bot lane is going to rip through, and he's not going to be that slippery into a Vi either.
Oh, got a bit of a late invade here for T1. I think understanding that there was a very high likelihood that once again Team Liquid are going to go for a bit of a lane swap. That has indeed occurred. And as we can see, Zeus is still waiting towards the top side with a bit of an idea of what's happening. So APA now going to have to worry about Keria's Ashe that we just haven't had the pleasure of seeing. Even in the LCK so far this season, it hasn't been something that Keria's ever been allowed to play.
Yeah, it's permaban. Like we said earlier, it's not really a pick that is ever allowed through. Zeus going to lose half his health bar.
Yep, still just wants to be able to get the experience for those melee minions, so looked a little bit curious, but was just trying to get as much as he could. As Impact doing exactly the same thing, but he has to deal with 2 ranged auto attackers, and one of them that slows you down every time they shoot you.
Look who's here. You can't do those Krugs. Not allowed. And unfortunately for Impact, he's not going to be able to do anything about this. Similarly, though, is taking the jungle of Oner on the top side. Zeus, gonna go back here, grab a pot.
Has to waste some time, though. The little Krug chasing Impact down there and just chilling with him underneath the turret means that it's going to take a while for Oner to actually finish off the camp. So he does so in the end, standing on a ward. And Impact well aware of what could be coming for him.
So I want to talk a little bit. Okay, we're going to maybe have something occur here. Impact is very good at wave clear. That's one of the good reasons to pick Udyr in this situation, because his wave clear in a lane swap is pretty fantastic. As meanwhile up here, Zeus in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, Umpty's already rotated up. There's the Bramble Smash as he flashes away, and that is first blood. Clean dive from TL.
Huge win for them. They should be able to grab some plate gold here, as Zeus is going to teleport back to the lane, but not in time, and they may just go for it again.
Yeah, round 2. That's going to be CoreJJ taking out the turret this time, and Zeus straight out of the Death Chamber and straight back in, and the juggle is beautiful.
Thanks for plus 300, and I'm almost ready to certify this one as well. Plate going to go down here a little bit awkwardly timed, unfortunately, for those recalls, but man, he didn't learn from Bin, did he?
No!
This is a bit of a rough start here. Now, Udyr also, in fantastic wave clear, can deal with this bottom push, even with Sivir in the mix. Sivir is so good at wave clear. I think that's why this pick specifically was chosen, just in case of the lane swap. Strong into the 2v2, but good at pushing waves in. But Impact is really holding his own here, and unfortunately, there's no way for Oner pre-6 to actually have the same sort of impact that we saw from Umpty topside, and now CoreJJ's back.
Yeah, the bear diving forward as Gumayusi wanted to try and kill him. I think they had a very good idea as to what was happening, but tried for the opportunistic execution. And now it's just going to be a regular 2v2, but Jan has that 1-0-1 on the scoreline alongside CoreJJ with the same. So this is definitely a much better lane state than what it could have been, moving into a laning phase against double 80 carry that we know provides so much pressure, especially piloted by these players. As CoreJJ, unfortunately, going to find out that there's a whole bunch of bad guys there. Jan having to dash without being able to go through a wall, and there is a cleanse, but it doesn't quite work out. Phenomenal spell shield here from Gumayusi, as they're looking for even more as T1 answer back on the bottom side, and Jan gonna miss out on this full wave.
Yeah, I was going to mention right before this that, Yun was significantly behind in CS because they went for that double dive top side. He had to rotate bottom, was very late, so Guma picked up some extra farm, but now, he's further behind, obviously, as well. And taking a look at this one more time, the idea here is fantastic for the side of T1. Umpty's still top side. Oner coming through here. Yun flashes, but Oner can follow flash for that extra damage. Guma spell shields the knockup perfectly here, as you pointed out, and is able to walk away scot-free. Keria commits the heal just in case, and it's just enough to get him away. So a kill going over to Guma, still furthering that CS lead.
This is pretty doomed for Zeus, though, as we can see.
Yeah.
Impact was holding on to that freeze for quite some time. You can see 10 CS for the Cassante.
Umpty also was able to catch up a lot in farm during that because he wasn't involved in the play. He was pretty significantly behind, but actually is now caught up. These lanes a lot matters. You always have to kind of take stake of each and every lane. Like every action has an equal and opposite reaction elsewhere. But the big win, like you said, is Impact being 2 levels up on Zeus at the moment. You can see his XP bar to the top right of your screen next to his level 4. He is far from it.
Going to be secured by Impact, and Zeus not even able to get up to it.
Look at the XP bar of Impact. He's close to 7. Zeus is sitting at like 1/3 of 5. So yeah, he is really far behind. And this Udyr pick, we talked about how it can, from behind, really have a lot of problems. But with this lane swap and the wave clear and how well he dealt with Guma's push bottom side, now the advantages he's picked up because he's been able to get so much farm, he's really getting value out of it.
He certainly is. And we haven't even looked at the mid lane whatsoever. So this Vi Talia, that we've seen have so much power, it's not even relevant yet. As the grubs go down, that is going to be Umpty securing all 3 of them as APA dives in on top of Faker. Seismic shove going to remove him, but still trade is going to be okay for the Tristana. But with that big rock landing, never mind. It's actually just colossally not great. Still, Oner going to be able to secure the first dragon of the game. That's going to go over to T1. And TL still retaining a slight advantage as far as gold is concerned, and I think they're going to be pretty happy with how this one's going. Impact behind turrets, and this is the kind of Udyr that we're happy to see, right?
You start getting that lead, and you just keep pushing the issue, making it very awkward here for Zeus. And once Umpty hits level 6, you won't be necessarily safe. As you can see, Impact is just happy to even tank this turret here and try to play some games with Zeus. Come over here now with some grubs. They pick those up on the top side as well. Going to allow him to get more gold here in terms of this extra plate. Now, bottom side, though, could be in shambles here a little bit. Oner, experience lead here, has level 6. I do not think this is a fight TL should take over red. Should be willing to concede this one.
Yeah, CoreJJ can at least figure things out with the Gleaming Quill. An opportunistic little chance there with the Extendo Beam, but not able to actually grab the Bramble back. And so that's going to be another steal coming on through here. Still, TL have full vision of the top side of the map of T1, and so it could just be a counter red taken by Umpty, but he's sort of nowhere near right now, and it looks like Oner is just beelining right towards that buff as Keria taking a bit of damage. But Yun and CoreJJ, I think, realizing that in a straight-up 2v2, it's very difficult to stand toe-to-toe with this Sivir Ashe lane.
So when I look at this game state here, I give a pretty big, especially after this, I give a pretty big edge to T1 because, yes, the K'Sante is massively far behind, 20 CS behind at the moment, lost some plates. Udyr is almost 800 gold ahead, but they still have Talia by. They still have a lot of proactive plays they can make. A K'Sante from behind could still catch up later and become tanky and still be relevant. And Udyr with a massive advantage may be useful now, but if you can't utilize that prio, if you can't put any pressure on, you can't set up any dives onto Zeus or take the whole turret, Zeus will eventually just say, well, I don't really care. It's really bad now, but it's going to be okay later on. It's not a massive advantage I'm giving to T1 here, but I do think, considering the damage done, still feels like a pretty good scenario for them. We're going to have to wait and see, though, how these first few fights break out, because that's when you're going to see the Vi, Talia synergy. That's where you have to look for those picks. If they mess it up, Yun gets some gold, catches up. He's only 300 gold behind right now. TL could definitely swing things back. But a good start for them with how this Udyr is working out. Let's see how they use it.
Yeah, it's going to have to be used effectively, and I'm really glad that you bring that up because I think Zeus, his buttons will do things that are good, kind of regardless of the amount of gold he has, but that's a good buffer from APA, able to get out of the seismic shove. This time, as Umpty, not quite able to find an opportunity here. As Impact, he's going to spend most of his time, I think, behind the enemy turret. Keria walks over a control ward and doesn't actually see it here. His Impact already on the run. And yeah, he should be all right. Volley going to come on through, still able to eat the ward, and wants to kind of run after Keria here at the same time. He doesn't have Merc Treads, so tenacity is at a bit of a premium, but he'll be all right.
Yeah, and Zeus can just teleport to bottom lane here, start to put the pressure back on that lane, see what he wants to do. Could just walk it out, but is going to commit the TP as shown here in picture-in-picture. Man, this is a really awkward moment for TL because you know Zeus can't show up to the fight. Impact has teleport, so maybe you want to heavily commit to this objective, but at the same time, it's Vi, Talia, Weaver's Wall at the ready. You're going to be so cautious about how you're going to approach trying to set up a fight here on the top side of the map, and I think just backing away is a better game plan. 5 seconds till those grubs spawn.
Yeah, control of the river is here for TL. At this point in time, I like this Tribrush ward that T1 does have. The control that they can pick up there as Umpty sees that ward going over. We'll be able to get it down there as okay. There's a grand entrance. Oner going to be the target as cease and desist comes in, but I don't think they're listening to him. Yon's going to take him out. The Grub's getting involved as Gumayusi. He does have On the Hunt running, but APA's diving in. He finds the Buster Shot, sends the Sivir packing, and that's a double kill for the Zeri. TL back on top.
TL back on top. Great ultimate there from Umpty, and also the setup from CoreJJ forces the flash out of Keria, and T1 are not first on the play. I think this looks very different if they're diving on the Zeri, if they're the ones starting it off. They know Impact had the ability to just join with the TP. That's always a scary thought. But as you see the setup here, Oner wants to go into Yun. Look at his spacing. So well played. CoreJJ sets up the charm. Keria has to flash. And look at this ult from Umpty layered on top, guaranteeing an extra CC. And then APA is going to have his time to shine here with an Insect S play. Flashes onto Guma and will force him down. TL, huge win on the fight. I doubted it because they had the setup. T1 were ready, but they just did not expect CoreJJ's engage, and TL looked so ready to take every step of that fight, start to finish. Now 1,500 gold ahead.
And I think also they would have taken into account that Faker didn't have his teleport and APA did. It's teleport advantage utilized absolutely beautifully here by TL. And now they're set up to try and do battle for this second dragon. Infernal on the Rift once again. Not going to be the Soul this time. Might be Ocean, might be Chemtech. That wouldn't be great. Hopefully Ox, who's setting up to be on in the area for our second series. Hopefully he's paying attention right now so that we don't get that Chemtech Soul. And as APA trying to take down this top outer in picture while we're doing this. TL kind of getting the better of every situation right now. As Extendo Beam comes in, Gumayusi not getting a lot of value out of the Spell Shield. And CoreJJ lying in wait.
T1 just got to give this up.
Yeah, they have to.
Now in a position to Weaver's Wall in and cut this team in half. This is a Zeus at level 9, just sitting under turret against a 6 Void Grub APA, who is just pushing down this turret. Zeus going to eat a bunch of damage. We'll try to clear the wave. This turret is gone.
Yeah. He's just going to be able to get a few more autos into it. A little bugs come out, and it's just, he's going to require one more wave. But I don't think Zeus can stick around because as soon as that turret is down, he's going to get jumped on. Oner moving up now, but it's going to be a little bit too late. I guess Faker can skate on over, and there is a dragony arrow flying past. Shoutouts to Beryl there, whose skin is going to be employed for this one. Faker wants to try and protect this, but the minion wave has made it to the turret. Seismic Shove is decent, as APA is going to get pushed away. And now Oner, he's going to move on up. So he gets into the brush. Let's see what APA can actually get done here. As there's the buster shot. Cease and desist comes down. Faker still going to throw out some rocks here, and APA just being a bit frustrating, buying some time. Once the minion wave is going to get a bit of it before he's punched to death by the Vi.
I think if APA plays that a little bit safer there, maybe he actually gets out. The Ash Arrow misses. Faker commits Weaver's Wall. That would have been 2 big ultimates down, and he walks away. But he sticks around it a little bit too long there, and Oner's there with the rotation. Oner also doesn't even have to flash for the ult there, so really well played. Faker gets a plate, but will he die for it? No.
He's going to teleport, and so that's going to get him out of there. Yun, he just trades the ult. Sometimes you just want to press R, and yeah.
He knows it.
Yeah, I would recommend that particular use of the emote in that point in time.
Sometimes you have a whoopsie, it's okay.
Yeah. And if it was a back, so he probably just caught a glimpse of Faker, and he's like, if he's backing, he's dead. And so just presses the R button. Otherwise, they get a teleport and trade for an ult, and you take those.
Still a win to get the teleport out of Faker. They also now have complete topside control. So yes, a plate went over in those final seconds there before they fell off, but TL are going to be able to get this Herald, which will then lead into potentially Dragon control here in 3 minutes. And the biggest and scariest problem for T1 is this Tristana. To me, given all the grubs they've stacked up, how great she's going to be in the side lane, and frankly, how well APA has been playing this tournament. As Impact's got a lot of wave clear here, there's a lot of T1 members on this bottom side, but he should be fine. Let's see what they can get done cross-map here, as Yun is also starting to push this side.
Ooh, Faker is, yeah, it's a bit of a question mark. Just gets hit by a bunch of damage. Yun's still just up there in the 1v1, as we can see, and the Rift Herald is going to come down. APA dealing with the minion wave. Shelly going to go for a charge.
CoreJJ on the flank.
Yeah, and Nature's Grasp is going to come out. CoreJJ, is the quickness actually going to be invested? Grand Entrance going to come in as the charm is down onto Oner, and they clear out the minion wave. T1 do not lose this turret for now, as Yun gets himself over the wall. A little bit scary, was almost within cease and desist range, but Oner not going to go for that very long journey towards the Baron Pit.
Yeah, it was a very scary moment there for T1, but handled well. CoreJJ going to get his back interrupted, but not going to lead to too much here. As it looked really good for TL when you consider the Maokai ults coming through. You have the setup there for CoreJJ, but ultimately that turret still being very healthy and not enough damage actually to follow up on anything. So a lot of tools used here for TL. Had they gotten the turret, you'd feel really good about what their Dragon is going to look like here in a minute 40. They don't have it. Now they don't have the Herald to try to force something with it on Dragon either. So this feels like a pretty small win, but a significant win for T1 at the same time.
Yeah, and if you have a look at the gold, looking at there to the left, Yun and APA are still sitting very much at the top of the table when it comes to that. So in a straight-up 5v5, these 80 carries feeling pretty happy, sitting on their core items for the moment. And this turret, maybe not long for the world, as APA, he's just going to teleport in to try and help take down Zeus. He was tanking up the turret, but Zeus is very, very dead, guys. That is a 0-3 Cassante, and the turret falls as well. And this is another way to create a lot of control of the bottom side of the map prior to a dragon.
It's just so surgical, the macro from TL. They find a weak point, they abuse it.
The sidestep's good too, as Oner moves on in. Impact gonna almost avoids the seismic shove. Cease and desist with the help of the turret. is going to come through, and he is not that tanky. Oner in the same position, though, as the explosive charge goes off. Another seismic shot from Faker, but it's a 1-for-1 in the end. The inner turret was under fire, and look at that, it's almost dead. I mean, they were there for like a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds.
That's Tristana, baby. That's APA pushing it through, and T1, they are able to get the Udyr, but it's a traded kill back. 20 seconds until this dragon spawns. They're going to have the later reset, so this does favor T1. But it's just the quick nature of how TL are moving around the map, seeing, okay, we tried to push the Herald mid, get a pick. Doesn't work. We're going bottom lane, we're getting a pick, we're getting a turret. Oh, you guys are a little bit late on the defense? We're going to get 3/4 of this turret. And they'll even take a 1-for-1 trade there in the end. Now, Dragon should be going to T1. They're actually going to reset as well. Not going to actually go to start that one up. They don't feel like they have the damage, so maybe I'm going to eat my words on that one, as TL actually coming over here faster, so they get most of the turret, trade 1-for-1, get Zeus, get a bottom outer, and now they're going to get their second dragon of the game. Cross map here, Impact, let's see if he can clear this wave.
Yeah, and he's very tanky. It's not going to be the Liandry's build, as the arrow is going to connect here onto the Udyr as well. With the turret to fend off at the same time, even though that stun from the arrow lasted about 400 years, Impact is still able to just soak it up, unless... Okay, Weaver's Wall comes through. Impact is very fast. Cease and desist comes in. There's the flick. And there goes the Udyr. They had to invest a fair bit.
They're losing a lot.
Yeah, in a turret in trade for an Udyr, I guess you'll take that. As Zeus is also going to go down. The Unstoppable does come in. Umpty is going to be CC'd up, but he's so tanky. It does not matter. And it was even APA tanking the turret. Are they going to take even more?
I think so.
Keria comes on over. He can't defend it.
This blue side first pick Tristana is getting mad value in this game, Atlas. Mid turret's down as well. TL just out macroing T1 with this draft once again. Now Faker will be able to at least get the majority of this turret. Indecisive on the recall, will pick up the gold here in the end, decides not to go back, but the damage has been done to the base, and every time you open up an inhibitor, that Tristana is always going to be a threat. That one goes down, that unlocks potential Baron takes for TL because it's on the opposite side of the map, that bottom inhibitor, and TL has just been so quick. They find an angle, Zeus is not tanky enough. Look at his build, Hollow Radiance. That's not going to be enough against this 2-item Tristana. They can push him, push the turret, and if T1 are trying to cross-map topside against an Udyr, the Udyr is working well in this draft. He buys so much time, he's got so much wave clear, so slippery, forces the buy ultimate. Like, thank you very much for dying, Impact, because we're getting way more than T1 got. Yeah, look at the bottom lane.
And the only lead that's here for T1 is Oner with a bit of extra gold. And otherwise, it's 1,000 here, 1,000 there for TL. And that is on all of the members that kind of want that money. TL now moving up here towards this top side. Oner on a decent flank angle. APA might get caught out. Let's see. Oh, actually still in that fog of war. It's Umpty that's going to go for the face check. And he can, because he is a big tanky tree. He's flashing. There are 4 members of T1 up here, Umpty. I don't know whether this is really what you wanted. He'll be taken down. Gumayusi grabs that kill. And now the teleport's in from Zeus at the same time. They want even more off the back end of this one. Still, APA does massive amounts of damage. The all-out comes in. And the ulti's there from Yun as well. Let's see whether they can actually answer. As the extender beam splits up the fight. Great flash from APA as Oner tries to get that Vault Breaker through. He doesn't have cease and desist, but here's the Weaver's Wall. It split off the fight completely, and APA, he'd have to invest the rocket jump if he wants to get on over. Both of the tanky members from TL were eviscerated, and now T1 have so much momentum.
Oh man, you could take Umpty out of Pro, but you can't take the Pro out of Umpty. The T1 fans are calling him a Giga Chad for that one, because that was a bit of an overextension, a lack of vision there. Thought he found an angle onto Faker and Oner, thinking perhaps Guma and Keria were far enough away, but unfortunately Cortez' rotation is way too slow. Miscommunication here on the side of TL. All things considered, this fight goes decently for them despite the really bad, setup, because they lose too early, but with double 80 carry here and how big APA is, they can almost make it work. If they get that kill on the Zeus, get a jump reset, there might be an angle, but T1 strike back in a huge way in that last fight.
They certainly did. And Gumayusi just quietly ricocheting 1 billion damage around the fight. And see able to do a whole lot, and APA still requiring our respect in this game. As you saw, it was almost the entirety of Zeus' health bar just eaten by this Tristana, who does have those 2 items now completed, one of them being an Infinity Edge. That's a pretty cool one. And so now TL moving towards this Baron pit once again, and I think that we shouldn't be fooled. They are still very, very strong in this game, and they are starting off this Baron.
He could just lock them out with his ultimate as well. They don't have a lot of vision, though. Faker's going to TP in.
Yeah, they do get the teleport, so TL already a bit up in this particular situation. Are they going to flip it, though, is the question. A cease and desist, and he manages to take the Baron and flashes out and says thanks for the leash.
Yeah, this was a really rough call here for TL with no real vision control. I think they just said, I think we get away with it against T1. You usually don't. Really great in and out play from Oner.
That was a drive-by.
Vault breaker over the wall. Smite flashes out, gets the steal. Thanks for leash. Now this gold lead, which was almost breaking 5,000, is very diminished here. And with T1 having the Baron, they should be able to pull ahead. If you had vision there, if you had Umpty in a position to actually lock them down and secure this, it would have felt a lot better about the take because they had positional advantage, but not a lot of information about T1 coming through. So a call where I think TL really seeing the blood in the water going, if we get this, we get so much more map control. We have the Tristana, but maybe backing away there, actually securing vision might have been the better play as T1 are happy with their decision.
Absolutely. And now we've got 14 seconds on this Ocean Dragon. T1 can even the score when it comes to that particular neutral objective. He can utilize the Baron to try and get that extra control, and we know Gumayusi able to eat up these minion waves. Zeus going to deal with the wave on the top side as grand exit here for Core JJ, wanting to battle dance over to Yun, and he is going to be able to get there. Still, might have to go for a reset now as the Dragon has spawned. No one really paying it too much mind right here, and Impact just needs to deal with this minion wave that's about to kill the outer turret on bottom side.
Hey, Faker nearing death cap as well. He's about to be huge in this game, damage-wise. Has otherwise been pretty quiet this game. Has made some big plays when we go to the team fights, but hasn't actually been able to do all too much. Might make a play now.
Impact almost able to get to the other side of the wall and then realizes that there are a whole lot of bad guys moving down towards the bottom lane.
But top side.
Yeah, it is going to be an inner turret in trade, and I don't think APA is going to waste very much time taking this one down. Zeus also maybe caught out of position, but no. Very hard to chain CC a Cassante.
This feels really good for TL. I mean, this is during Baron that they're trading turrets like this, and yes, T1 will even up the Dragons as a result of this, but Arrow going to sail wide, and this is during T1's Baron buff. They get a turret. It's going to take Faker a lot of time to get over to this one that's full health, so there's just not going to be a turret in exchange here for T1. So once again, that weak side Udyr putting in work, buying time for this 6 grub Tristana to wreck another turret.
And T1, they will even out the Dragons. That's what they were able to claim for it, and also claim back a whole bunch of control. Seeing here with the last few seconds of the Baron, they want to try and take down this outer turret. It is going to be Impact teleporting in to defend it. That will be successful. So empowered recalls to get that quick reset, and then back onto the map for T1. But what this Baron has done is it's triage, right? What it's done is given them back a whole bunch of money into those coffers, and now we're going to have very even team fights moving further forward.
Faker does have his Weaver's Wall here, so TL need to be super respectful. This is still a Vi composition.
Yeah, Umpty could once again be in trouble. Seismic Shove almost pushes him back over the wall, and there's no response because the wall cuts off the rest of TL. Umpty, we've seen this before, but he got caught out a bit earlier on, and now it's once again finds himself in the death chamber.
Yeah, this is T1 really starting to get back in the driver's seat. They got the Baron, the triage you mentioned is a great way to put it, but TL moving a bit too far into the jungle there without controlled vision, trying to take it away, but punished by Faker. Now has death cap. Oner did not ult, by the way, and he's getting ready.
Yeah, great buffer there from APA this time around. Avoids the seismic shove. He's got his eye in for that one. Is now T1 looking for another inner turret. They don't need a Baron to lock this one down. They've just got so many members, and they will be able to secure it. Core JJ wanting to find the opportune time to get in. T1 not really giving him that opportunity.
This is the moment when the North American fans start to see the dream slip away because you were so ahead. You had such control over the map. You're not out of it by any means, but after that failed Baron, things have really looked T1's way, and then this is the moment here. You could see arrows coming through, hits Impact, the block is good, but unfortunately the Vi is able to get in and get out. It's the Vault Breaker to come through, not the Vault Breaker, but the Cease and Desist, whatever they call that ult nowadays. They keep changing the name. Anyway, gets in, flashes out, gets the steal. Then they're pushing through topside to try to set up some vision. Umpty is punished, and Faker's Talia kind of quiet early game, very strong late game we're getting to here now.
Oh, yeah. He's 3-0-4, and he's been a part of the majority of the kills that T1 have picked up. And I think the things we said earlier in the draft took a while to come into play, but now they really are, because T1 has so much setup. They have so much control, and if they get the map, then it's really, really hard for TL to try and fight back for it, because as soon as Oner presses R, then someone will die. That's just kind of how it goes.
And TL, excuse me, Team Liquid were so reliant on the Tristana pressure, but they've kind of pulled all those turrets off the map. And there's no more gotcha, got you on the cross map on this one. Pushing the inhibitor with lack of map control they have now is kind of a pipe dream. Look at the bottom lane, how pushed out it is. We're gonna see Impact try to maybe set something up here. Unfortunately, the rest of the map is looking bleak here, and then you have to walk into where you don't have vision, and then bam, CC into CC into CC, like we talked about in draft. Does T1 take a gold lead here, a significant one, but it's still 1,000 gold a piece, or the difference here.
Yeah.
It's the map control that's scarier than the money.
Certainly is. You can see TL had such a big advantage. Keria taking a fair bit of poke from the extendo beam, as Faker's going to be able to clear out the Rift Scuttler. Baron now back on the table, and TL, they still have so many tools, right? Tristana and the Zeri is so much DPS in these fights. They need to get themselves together as the Weaver's Wall comes on down. There's a huge pushback from Zeus, who's in amongst 4 people right now. Gumayusi, the only one there to back him up, and they want to take him down, but they're not going to be able to do so. Cease and desist comes in on top of Core JJ, and then it's Oner that's out once again. APA torn apart, and T1. That was absolutely gorgeous. The flash forward from Faker to finish the job, and it's just Impact that's left alive. I think T1 are kind of done with this game.
I think they're done with it. They want to push down this inhibitor and end the game. So close to escaping was APA there, almost over the wall. Oner with a heroic plays there in those final moments. Impact, last man standing, picks up a Zonia's here. Let's see what he can do.
Well, he does go golden, but that's not going to apply to his turrets, unfortunately, so they will be taken down. Core JJ is going to respawn. It's not going to be his day, though, today, as T1 will move to the finals here at EWC, and they will keep their key alive. Unfortunately for TL,